everybody. Welcome to the Lund Loop Daily Update for Monday, July 20th, 2026. Happy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. I had a horrible weekend. My air conditioning went out here on Thursday. It's only a year and a half old and it went out. And so we had a sweltering Southern California weekend. Yes, I know, first world problems, but it sucked. Hope you had a better weekend than I did. All right, let's talk about aggressive and conservative trading. One of the things that I heard all across the interwebs on Friday was, that's it. The pullback is over in the AI stocks. Why? Because a lot of names gapped down on Friday and then pushed off of their lows. Now, does that mean the bottom is in? No. Bottoming is a process, and we've talked about that process many, many times here, just like topping is a process. So we don't know if the bottom is in, but whether or not you would trade that depends on how aggressive you are and how conservative you are. And there is a wide range of aggressiveness and conservativeness. So what I want to do is I want to look at one of the names that's a popular name, see the action that it did on Friday and today, and show you how you could take part in a trade depending on whether you're more of the aggressive end of the trading spectrum or you're more on the conservative end of the trading spectrum. So let's go look here at Let's look at IRIN. Okay, so IRIN had a gap down on Friday after being in this big downtrend, right? And it gapped down right near a support resistance level. So not the worst assumption to say that maybe the bottom is in at least short term. I mean, you could maybe expect a counter trend rally here. So if you're a very aggressive trader, how would you trade this? Well, when you get this push off the lows, right? Maybe you buy here, but maybe you buy the first pullback. The idea is that you're going to get involved and you're going to say to yourself, okay, on a day trade basis, I'd be out below here, below the low. Then if you end the day higher, you have to think, do I want to hold it over the weekend? And again, this is why this is more aggressive, because you're trying to get in on the first turn. You're like really trying to catch that knife. And we could have a big pop today, or we could have gap down today. So there's a lot of binary risk there. So that would be how you would approach it if you're super aggressive. If you're less aggressive, what you would do is when you get this pop today, which kind of confirms that this is at least a short-term bottom, what you would do is you would wait for the first pullback and then try to get in on the continuation of the trend. Now, I actually posted this in the Discord earlier today, and I contrasted a couple of the recent hot names, IRIN and Nebius. So if you're going to be aggressive in these names, what you're going to want to look for is names that follow through from that Friday and then show some sort of, organized pullback, holding some levels. You're looking for a spot where this trend's going to pause and then continue up in the direction of that gap. And I contrasted IRIN with Nebius because look at Nebius. Nebius did that gap up and then it failed. Not only did it lose Friday's high, but it just continued to go lower. And so if we look at how both of these things played out for the rest of the day, Nebius gave you a spot where you could have got involved here on this big break. You actually could have got involved here too. And you had a chance to make some nice money during the course of the day. And then you just decide whether you want to hold it overnight or not. Nebius, on the other hand, did nothing, right? It failed and it got chopped up all day long and closed pretty much near the low end of the range. So the most aggressive, the hyper aggressive way of trading a potential pullback would be trading it here, trying to get a reversal intraday, betting that the bottom is in short term, having to take that over weekend or overnight risk, but getting paid on the follow through. The second most aggressive way would be to wait to see if you can get a pop from that Friday push off the lows and then find an intraday spot that makes sense where you can define your risk. Like on the break here, you could say, well, I'm going to be out here. You could certainly say I'm going to be out here. Now, what's the more conservative way of playing this? This is the way that I tend to lean towards in the Lund loop. Sometimes I'll do more aggressive things down here, but in terms of what I want to give out to the community, I like to put out higher probability trades. And so the way that I usually play a turn off the bottom is I wait for what we call the move after the move. So here's your bottom. Here's your counter trend move. I want to see it move like this for 1, 2, maybe 3 days, and then have a little bit of a pullback, right? That's the move after the move. Then if we continue like that, there's a higher percentage chance that the move is going to go in the same direction as the counter trend rally. And I think that puts your probabilities much higher. So, look, there's no right or wrong way to do this. It's just your own personal preference. How risk averse are you? How conservative are you? How aggressive? So very aggressive, you'd make the turn here. Maybe less aggressive, you'd wait for an intraday move if you get a gap up. And then the most conservative way is to wait until you get a little bit of a base, and then it's the move after the move. So, all right. I just wanted to show a couple different ways you could play this because, again, everyone was talking about the bottoms and the bottom ends, bottom end is like, well, I don't know if the bottom's in or not, but if you're going to play it, you got to at least play it from a intelligent risk management way. All right, let's go look at the indexes. Okay, so is the bottom in? Well, I mean, technically we've stopped going down.